Is Australia in recession today?
Well, the answer to that is yes.
When even the government says we're in recession, you know it's real. I'm Jacob Aldridge, and I'm here to make sure you don't waste it. This is Economic Snapshot number 12 for Friday the 5th of June 2020. For those who are new to Don't Waste a Good Recession, welcome. We publish 3 programs on our YouTube channel. This weekly economic snapshot to help you make better business decisions, a case study series on what other businesses have done through recessions in the past, and some longer videos with positive and practical guidance for businesses with between 2 and 500 employees, whether they're diving, surviving, or thriving during this recession. Here is the data for our 4 indicators this week. Active coronavirus cases. 2 things of note. In the US, for the first time, the number of active coronavirus cases has actually declined week on week. It has started to trend in the right direction. In Australia, for the first time in 2 months, that number has actually gone up, although the difference is very, very slight and is believed to reflect the repatriation of citizens from overseas as opposed to community-transmitted cases. We also had in Australia the interesting situation where the total number of deaths from coronavirus, COVID-19, has declined this week. There was one high-profile case in the state where I live, Queensland, which on further investigation post his unfortunate death was shown to not have been COVID-19. So the number of total deaths in Australia was actually revised down from 103 to 102. It went backwards this week. Stock markets continued their upward trajectory, though again it was a fairly small rise for this week. No new unemployment data. The big news, of course, as we've led this week's economic snapshot with, is the release of Australia's March quarter GDP growth numbers, which showed a contraction of 0.3%. For Australia, that's only the 4th negative quarter they've had in 25 years. So even though it's not an enormous decline, especially sitting there compared to the UK and the US, that is actually quite a significant outcome within the context of Australia's economic history. The confirmation from the Treasurer Josh Frydenberg, as we saw at the beginning of this video, that the June quarter is expected to be much worse, as indeed it is across most of those other countries, would suggest that the rest of 2020 for most small and medium-sized businesses in Australia is going to be certainly not unprecedented, just a time of challenge that we haven't faced in the wider economy for more than 30 years. Some of that is the actual economic situation, and the largest part of it is going to be sentiment, is going to be the fact that we patted ourselves on the back through the global financial crisis by not going into a technical recession, and it's unclear really how consumers' business confidence are going to respond to the official news that we are in recession. Of course, there are always opportunities in a recession. That's why the theme of this channel is to not fight it, not resist it, not deny that it exists, but instead to ask yourself, what are the opportunities? How can I make sure that I don't waste a good recession? I'm not a perma-bear. While I've been preparing my clients for this recession since late 2018, 2 of them have just had record months for both revenue and profit, I do feel that this point in the cycle is just a blip as part of a longer 20-year bull run that's going to continue right the way through another roaring 20s. So is this recession then, like Paul Keating said?
Well, I'll just give you a few comments on the national accounts. The first thing to say is that the accounts do show that Australia is in a recession. The most important thing about that is that this is a recession that Australia had to have.
No, it's not the recession we had to have. Modern fiscal policy means that the technical definition of a recession, 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth, is preventable. In fact, back in March, I observed that the Australian government seemed to be slow walking their stimulus package. They seem to have given up on the March quarter because of the bushfires, and were trying to push all of the stimulus to arrive only at the beginning of April to goose the June quarter and hopefully avoid the recession. The fact that the Australian economy only contracted by 0.3% in the March quarter suggests that had they moved faster, had they made some slightly different decisions, they may even have managed flat or a KRUD plus 0.1% to have avoided a technical recession. But the gist of a recession, an economic slowdown, a downturn, a spike in unemployment, that shock to the system, that is inevitable. And it's a good thing. So is there something to celebrate? Well, not in a recession, of course, but if we're looking for silver linings, if we are looking for something to celebrate, then I will note that tomorrow is Queensland Day, the 6th of June, celebrating the 6th of June 1859 when Queensland broke free of New South Wales, the 161st anniversary of our colony, which became an Australian state in 1901. And it's fitting that this year we're celebrating with our border to New South Wales still closed, something maybe we should have done 161 years ago and kept closed. For all my Queensland brethren around the world, happy Queensland Day. For you, wherever you are listening, thank you, as always, for tuning in. If you're new, again, welcome. Do join the Facebook group, do subscribe, or do join our mailing list. For everyone else, we are officially in a recession. Let's make the most of it.